Hello, this is Tony Heller from RealClimateScience.com, the climate guy setting the record straight about climate. This news is hot off the press. California is suing big oil over sea level rise. Two Bay Area counties and a Southern California city concerned about rising sea levels sued 37 of the world's biggest oil and coal companies Monday, claiming that the fossil fuel giants should pay for damages wrought by climate change. Lawyers for the three communities work together to document such effects as more frequent flooding, beach erosion, as well as the possibility water will eventually inundate roads, airport sewage treatment plants, and other real estate. Wow, this sounds really bad. We better look at the actual data to see what sea level is doing in California. Two of the counties suing are from the Bay Area, and fortunately, NOAA has a tide gauge located in the San Francisco Bay. The Alameda, California tide gauge has been active for 80 years, and it shows little or no sea level rise during that time, and definitely no sea level rise over the last 35 years. Apparently, none of the data which these lawyers gathered included any actual sea level data. There's no sea level rise in the Bay Area, but the third county was San Diego. Let's see what sea level is doing there. The Cove in La Jolla is one of the most popular beaches in San Diego County. It's also one of my favorites. This is a high tide picture taken there recently. And here's a picture that was taken there in 1871. In this next slide, I overlay as an animation the recent image on top of the 1871 image. What you can see in this animation is that current high tide sea level is about the same as it was in 1871. Let's run through the animation a few times so you can see for yourself. Note where the high water level is, in exactly the same place as it was in 1871. There's two things that are noticeably different though. This rock has fallen off, and it's a lot greener now than it was in 1871. So sea level isn't rising appreciably either in Southern California or in the Bay Area. What are these counties suing for? But hold on, this story isn't over yet. It gets much worse. The governor of California, Jerry Brown, says rising sea levels could force them to move the LA airport. Brown's remarks came a day after the release of two studies finding that collapse of the West Antarctic ice sheet could raise sea level by 4 feet within 200 years. That sounds really bad, having to move the LA airport, 4 feet of sea level rise in 200 years. We better look at the data. Fortunately, NOAA has a tide gauge at Los Angeles. It's been active for 90 years and shows that sea level has hardly risen at all, only about 2 or 3 inches. And there's definitely been no acceleration. In fact, sea level there is about the same as it was 35 years ago. So there's no sea level rise at any of the locations which are suing big oil. But we're not done with the California stupidity yet. It gets much worse. According to Google Earth, the lowest location at the LA airport is 103 feet. So even if the 4 feet of sea level rise over the next 200 years, which the scientists predicted occurred, it would still be 96 feet below the lowest elevation at the LA airport. What is Jerry Brown thinking of? The stupidity is not over yet, though. It continues to get worse. Here's a front page story from the Chicago Tribune during the Ice Age scare 40 years ago. Flood threat from polar ice. Dr. Richard Cameron, National Science Foundation Program Manager for Glaciology, said, "We're seeing the West Antarctic ice sheet on its way out. It has nothing to do with a warmer climate, just the dynamics of unstable ice." Let's repeat that. The National Science Foundation Program Manager said collapse of the West Antarctic ice sheet has nothing to do with a warmer climate. We're not done with the California stupidity yet, though. It continues to get worse. Here's an article from 85 years ago which continues the Antarctic saga. Some great world change is taking place on the Antarctic continent. Its glaciers are shrinking. The Great Ice Barrier, which fronts the continent with a wall of ice for 250 miles, has receded at least 30 miles since it was first seen and surveyed. This Great Ice Barrier they're talking about is the West Antarctic ice sheet. Sir James Ross, who went out on the earliest Antarctic expedition of the 19th century, and those who followed him, left clear descriptions of this tremendous ice frontage and its position. It was a cliff 150 feet high and 1,000 feet thick, but now it appears to be continuing its century-long process of shrinking, and that process may have been going on for centuries. It might imply that the climate of the South Pole is changing and becoming warmer. The shrinkage of alpine glaciers of Europe is a well-known and carefully measured fact. Remember, this is from 85 years ago. So let's sum up all of the stunning California stupidity now. None of the counties who are suing over sea level rise are actually experiencing any significant sea level rise. Governor Jerry Brown believes that 4 feet of sea level rise over the next 200 years will drown an airport that is 100 feet above sea level. And they're trying to sue the oil companies over a process which has been going on for hundreds of years. There's no scientific basis for any of the things which these counties are suing big oil over. It's all just junk science and fake computer models. Visit Toto on the web at realclimatescience.com. He's been pulling back the curtain on junk science for a long time.